Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about the transit moon making a square opposition or inconjunct aspect to one's natal Chiron. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve the moon, they can be about emotions, feelings, our needs, responses, reactions, and the public. Now, when the transit moon is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Chiron, well, this could manifest in the emotions, the feelings, needs, responses, reactions, public. They may be in conflict with really the physical and emotional ones. Now you figure, well, what does that mean? How can that be in conflict with that? Well, the thing about it is you may not really feel like dealing with emotional suffering or physical suffering to this time. The physical, if you're going through any physical pain or anguish, it could be something where you just simply don't want to deal with it, or there may be more sensitivity in connection with it, or maybe more exasperation and tension in trying to cope with it at this time. And it might be one of those things like, well, I don't really need this right now, because remember, the moon is connected with our needs. Now, the thing about these transits, though, is that they don't last very long. They last about 10 hours on average, because keep in mind, I mean, if you're using a 3-degree applying aspect and 2-degree separating aspect, you're talking about 5 degrees total. So the thing about that is, of course, the moon moves about 1 degree every 2 hours. So you're looking at 10 hours on average. You're not overly significant, but you do get them frequently. You're going to get like about 5 of them a month, because keep in mind, the moon, as many of you may know, takes less than a month to traverse all 12 zodiac signs. So you're going to have, and you're going to have 2 squares. You'll have an opposition and 2 inconjunct aspects taking place per month on this, and basically, thing is, but again, they're not overly significant, and a lot of times this could actually be happening when you're sleeping, or at least part of the time you're sleeping. But they are frequent anyway. And the thing about Chiron is Chiron is connected with their suffering, anguish. It can be a time where you might have more difficulty in responding to certain kind of suffering at this time. If it's in the zodiac sign Cancer, your 4th house could be in your home life, your family life, or maybe you're trying to have, be more introverted basically, and maybe you're having a harder time in doing so at this time, more so than usual. It can be a situation too. I mean, Chiron can be about ineptitude, or at least where we feel inept at. And these things, where we feel more inept at, can be something that might cause a little more emotional suffering at this time, more so than usual. It may, the moon is connected with the mother, the home, family, people that were close to home, with prominent females in our life scheme. So these people might be more, could be a little bit more disturbed or exasperated by where you may be inept at it. If you have Chiron in Taurus, or the 2nd house in your chart, it might be simply about being self-reliant, or generating income, making money, formulating financial plans, being able to persevere, or just staying calm in situations. I mean, if you have your natal Chiron in the 8th house, it could be staying calm or nearly unflappable in crisis situations. Chiron is also about weakness, and again, it's tied in with in your ineptitude. It could be where you feel, there may be some kind of weakness in your life. If you have Chiron in Gemini, or the 3rd house, it could be matters pertaining to communication or versatility, being able to be more well-rounded, and these things might be more emotionally upsetting, more so than usual at this time. And Chiron is also associated with the pain that runs deepest in us. Now, like in my case, I have my natal Chiron is in Aries in my 12th house, so it can be, in certain cases, maybe there was is, for me, there's lack of courage or fortitude, which might be tied into secret sorrows and self-undoing. And the fact of when I have these transits hitting my natal Chiron, it could be about more emotional upsetment in connection with it. It could be where, you know, family members, people I'm close to home with, may be a little more disgusted with that energy or bring that up to me, which might, of course, cause a little bit more emotional pain and suffering at that time. And also, it might be harder to really, moon is also about it's about our responses and our reactions. So it can be something where it's harder to really maybe deal with those things at that point in time, or really, try to respond to that energy in a positive way and do something about it. And now Chiron, remember, is the wounded healer, and it can be about, areas where we're deficient in, but we can help others in those same areas where we are deficient in. And Chiron is about helping and healing. Again, it's the wounded healer. And the thing about this is you just might simply not be in the mood to do the healing that you want to do for others at this time. Say if this is in your natal Chiron is in Pisces or the 12th house, maybe there's some kind of spiritual healing that you may be involved in. You just don't really, you're not up to it at this time, or maybe helping others through the metaphysical, which includes astrology. Can be a time to, one way, another way this transit could manifest and pan out. Some cases it could be a mother or a family member, someone you're close to home with, a prominent female in your life scheme, may conflict perhaps with the ways in which you help and heal others. It could simply be that whether they may be in disagreement with it, or it might be that they feel that their needs may be should take precedence over what you're doing for others. Now, say, for example, if your natal Chiron is in Aquarius in the 12th house as an example, it could be doing some kind of tech, or bringing lab techs, or helping something with innovation. You bringing these things, these lab techs as an example, to help the less fortunate, which of course that would be the 12th house. Aquarius could be tied into things that are innovative. I would say even lab techs which you can use to innovate. And the 12th house again is the less fortunate. It could be like inner city kids that don't have the things that maybe kids maybe in other schools maybe perhaps have, and you may give them an opportunity to innovate and create using lab techs as an example. Now, in some cases too, this may be expressed in the past memories, which of course is associated with the moon, may impede you perhaps from dealing with that wound, that pain that runs the deepest. Now, the thing about this is, say if the transit moon is in Capricorn as an example, it could be being very overly pessimistic or negative feelings, which may prohibit you from dealing, with the suffering, the deepest wound that is associated with your natal Chiron placement. Say if it's again going back to Aries, if it's squaring natal Chiron and Aries in the 12th house, like mine, it might be issues with initiative or enterprise, which could be the self-undoing. 12th house is secret sorrows and self-undoing. Now, another thing too is that this could also manifest in some cases where you might not feel like dealing with physical wounds and suffering. Say if you're, because the moon of course is about how we feel, our mood, our temperament. If your natal Chiron is in Gemini as an example, it could be some issues with the arms or the hands or shoulders, the nerves. It may be breathing related matters. And the thing about this transit too, could also pan out and be having difficulty in responding to others that may be requiring you to help them to heal them. Hold on a moment, people. So let's say if this is in, say if your natal, Chiron is in Virgo in the fourth house as an example, it could be maybe you're having difficulty in responding to others that need assistance. It could be in organizing a disheveled home in some cases. Now, another thing too is this could also manifest in issues with the stomach, the chest, the breast, water retention. That's all connected with the moon. And it may cause maybe more suffering at this time, which is Chiron, than usual, and it may be harder to deal, with the suffering, that you're dealing with if it's on a physical level or what have you. That might be some other physical related matter that you might be trying to contend with, and it might make it more difficult and add insult to abject misery, basically. Also, too, it might be a time when moon-related people, whether it's the mother, a family member, or someone close to home, prominent female in your life scheme, these people may not be there at this time to help you deal with whatever suffering you may be going through, whether it may be physical or it might be emotional at this time. And say if your natal Chiron is in Libra or the seventh house, it might be some issues that you're dealing with, maybe a lawsuit, or it could be a marriage partner or a significant other trying to find some kind of peace and balance in your life. And so anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.